fandom. I'm gonna let it warm up for a little while. I'm just gonna take a slash, aka leak, and I'll be right back. Come on, warm your cockles. What's this? Turn off invites for live video. I don't know. Turn off invites for Accept. Turn off invites.
But
Yeah, I think it's important to talk. Bonafide talker over here. Used to have a t-shirt, red chatterbox, when I was at primary school. So I think the things that come naturally to you, you should thrive at. Someone said do what your passion is, and if you can make money doing that, then Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Happy days. Anyway, it's important to keep up in life, right? Because we've made so many developments in the last sort of 20 years, isn't it? Like internet connectivity, a lot of information sharing, a lot of enlightenment, a lot of shifting, a lot of changes, a lot of alterations, and people en masse are banging, aren't they? Because I think people in the civilized world, the Western world, are being farmed, very farmed, and they're hyper aware of the farming, a lot of people. And other people aren't so hyper aware. There are people that fall into a wage bracket and live in a fear and getting told what to do and then go and do what they do, i.e. like people. I find this platform very interesting for unstable connection. It is stable. Why would it be unstable? Why would it be unstable? Why is your stable connection unstable? Why does it say that? 0 viewers. What's new? What's friggin' new? It's the same as friggin'... I might as well go over to Facebook, hadn't I, really? Anyway, might as well... On Facebook I get 1. This is why it makes you wonder sometimes about social media, and it's... and why people in London, of all places, take to the streets quite a lot en masse. Like, en masse. It's almost like they feel that farm effect. Like, you can only go somewhere through social media because there's probably people above it or whatever. It's like there's some people and some people and some people. Anyway, the point is, it's like a prison within a prison, the tech world, isn't it? And then people talk about the tyranny of tech. Because it's like, oh, go out there. There was massive big things saying save our scene, and everybody was talking about nightlife reopening, and everybody was partying in London at the weekend, well, the 26th and 27th. And I was like, I always hear about it after the event, a bit late. Would have been nice to be up there amongst the throngs, you know. I'm getting waylaid. The point is, I wanted to talk about TikTok and what people are learning en masse. You can't stop a flow. You can't stop a ocean. You can't stop a tsunami. And that's what you got. The effect of all these factors is what's going on. Anyway, on this app, I just saw Muhammad Fayad, and he was talking about Prince Philip because he was of Greek origin and he married, or his Germany, basically, how interconnected elite cabals are globally and always have been for like hundreds of years. Knights Templars taking money to all the banking systems, industrial. Now we got industrial, and then people go, oh, we got to take the internet away, and people talk about this, fear of taking the internet away. And you see censorship. Let's get controversial. Censorship. Now, I'm probably being censored because it says zero connection. There's probably somebody that has an investment in myself, because as far as I'm concerned, I got arrested at the airport last year, probably by, what, industrial. You got to let it go. You got to know when the game's up, industrial. Like, see, one person pops up, one person goes away. It says zero reading on my screen. It says zero. So that's some bollocks, isn't it, really? So if you've got a message to get out, or you've got some guidance, or you feel like you've really got a wisdom, wise vein on these subjects, just pretty much from reading in a library and understanding your history as not taught by schools and things, you know? And it's like, so we're aware of these cabals and this industrial sense of self, which is actually quite barbaric and it's quite shit, and I think people evolve as a species, and they say, well, I don't like that. Even my own fam. I mean, we outgrow our own fam, right? Don't we? If they have a certain mental and they just indoctrinate into stuff. Like, I don't agree with vaccinating kids. They used to, because they used to come into your schools, right? And just, it wasn't even questioned. You know? Chicken pox, mob, meh, meh, meh. And quite frankly, I will say that I think it is trauma for children, and I think that they are developing ADHDs and other things off the back of all this trauma that was coming through at a certain time. In the 80s, they used to feel kids' teeth full of mercury fillings a lot. A lot of dentists got struck off in that time. And if you talk to a lot of Londoners, they say, yeah, I was never in pain and I used to get that treatment. So, like, come on, the gig's up to a certain degree. The gig is up. People have gone to festivals. A whole flood and tide of wave of people come through in an alternative vein. And I say, well, no, I don't actually trust that. That's a money-based, basically, liberty being taken with my body, mind and soul. Enough artists have been coming through for decade upon decade upon decade, and you can't stop that flow, that connectivity of music, logic and sense. Now, I don't mind people watching. I probably wouldn't join the chat because I go all spaz out if there's people that come on screen and then start talking to me. I don't even do Zooms much, but I could talk on a main stage with a person with a mic, talk like this. Mother Jesus, jack shit. Oh, Mother Jesus, jack shit. And that's not my saying. That's a DJ. Yes, Mum. I know, goggle box. The woman watches it on repeat. Yeah, great. Repeats of it, yeah. It's like the most mind-numbing sterility in the homes of the 2.4s. Really, if you get to that, it just really wants to be not with us. Dumbed down. Like if you're watching something, you've seen it about 5 times. A goggle box. Anybody else got that problem in their stately home? Get me out of here. Get me out of here. Get me out of here. You know? Because that's what I feel like. This is farm. I feel like a farm animal. I feel like there's a certain level of my existence that's been farmed, is what I'm trying to say. And this internet, I'm really agreeing with all the diversity of information that tells us. And it's like with all those little seeds of people, we're becoming bigger, majestica, more wise people. Because it's such a massive community, but it also gives you the key elements of what you relate to. And so people aren't really, they don't go, it's getting harder to meet a partner, I think. It's getting harder. Is it getting harder to meet someone? Or easier? Well, every time I turn to the camera, it does some sort of like special effect when I'm looking at it. What's that all about? Because I'm... No, it's a repeat. Anyway, so there's sort of like obviously generational things, and during this time, I won't lie, I felt threatened by older status quo because I found them to be quite either turned off willingly, and it's like as you get older, you're like, how could they not notice this? How could they not do that? Why do they go along with this? Why do they better? Because it's all gangsterism, like he said, like the Fayyad, he said, well, Prince Philip is nothing but, I call him a big gangster. I just saw some big thing about being a gangster. And the royal family, what about them? What the fuck is that? I don't know what that is. Oh, it's like a queen. Alright, we're not fucking bees. But I think they might know something about esoteric stuff on some level. Like the DNA shit. Thinks there's some truths in some of the people that believe that this world is about coming here like a testing ground. My nan used to always say it, like these things are sent to test us. These things are sent to test us. It's like, and that's predominantly what it's become. Like, I bumped into this director the other day. He said, I can't be bothered to make films and shit. I've lost the motivation because I just feel like I'm constantly being tested. Like, this is your life experience. It's supposed to be some sort of testing ground. And anyway, going back to that, the mercury fillings and stuff, and how you interface with the world. It's like, we all know, like, I just watched Bob Marley talking about emancipating yourself from mental slavery. Only you can free your mind. I think you'll find that a lot of people have freed their mind. It's not weed. Obviously, when you free the weed, you will free the nations, is what one of the Zionist quotes are. The weed, obviously, CBD, has a way of affecting your cannabinoid system, so it does ease pain. It's a mood stabilizer. Mood stabilization. My mum, prime candidate of somebody that doesn't go to the doctor, though she has quite a few character traits that I've probably struggled with. And I could get really controversial and talk about a lot of character and how character can perhaps form in others certain other traits. Because if you have a person with an unstable mood and you don't know how to interact with that, that's sort of like borderline skips, OCDs, and other certain states that pretty much older generations just like, whatever, it's kind of like hard. Then it's like CBD would also stop alcoholism, but it wasn't available, it wasn't readily available, and people then, they want to just play with fucking superficial science and plastic science, which is industrial, for something so simple could have actually been quite suitable for a long time. But they didn't. And then they encourage people to be like lacking community, just into the school, out of the school, into the school. It's like almost like people wearing quite strange ways in the old days. Or is it just, I'm a product of, I don't know. Do you know? Do you know what I'm talking about? Well, anyway, I'll probably post this and try and save it and post it somewhere else. But there's a lot to talk about. Because he's talking about, basically, and another thing about Princess Diana. Yeah, what of her? So, basically, she was doing a lot of good stuff, you know? A lot of good stuff. Palestine, blah, blah, blah. The rest of the world is a fucktard. It's a fucktard, right? We're supposed to care about things equally. I don't. I don't care about stuff that I can't see, feel and touch, like, physically. Myself. Like, when it comes to COVID, fuck off. It's a social commentary. I look like David Bowie in this video. Oh, my retina looks fucked. Weird. Anyway, so the point is, Palestine. I don't know what's going on in Palestine. If people can't fucking treat each other with respect, I don't know what the fuck's wrong. At the end of the day, look at our country now. It's trying to sort of like break some shackles of old that it's felt, these draconian vibes. This is probably changes because of things like hip-hop culture. We are fed a commentary that black people had it bad all this time, but then black people and us are getting together and it's like, actually, yeah, we've all had it fucking pretty bad. Workhouses, industrial. We don't want to be on a farmyard. We don't want to be whipped to build other things for other people, really, specifically. Banks are a joke. They're connected and they keep an industrial going. What is money? The nature of money, just an illusion, IOU paper. If you go to Nigeria, people that create their own currency or counterfeit money are respected over there, and the money is just used like legal tender because somebody's gone out their way to fucking make it. Sort of artistic, that, isn't it? Isn't that beautiful? I think that's kind of beautiful. Kind of like Bitcoin. Are you ready to actually go higher? Higher. You know, do people like their enslavement? Got to ask these questions. You got to ask people. I'll ask questions and you put answers. Do you like the way things were? Because I was feeling this ever increasingly sort of. I always felt, obviously, the misfit. People say you're not supposed to fit in, Laura. You were never supposed to fit in. But then I say no. They gave me that complex between like parentage, anxiety disorders or whatever. On my first day at nursery, worked in a cloakroom all on my own, on my Todd. Worst day of your life, just going bright red and getting rhodacea all day long. Worried about seeing the first adult you've got to deal with on your own. Fucking terrifying, right? Yeah. Yeah. And then loads of lines and always getting told, Bart Simpson shit, like always terrified, crying. Some girls like getting the advice, going to see the headmaster, pinch yourself in your pocket so you cry and he feels sorry for you. Like, acting. Oh. I wanted to get into that. It was like a secret dream that I had, that I wanted to leave school because like they fucked me up at primary school just in time for secondary school, because like taken out of my class in the last year at 10 for a whole year. And I remember earwigging. You're not supposed to earwig, but I remember parents' evening. I was sitting there going, listening. Well, we don't think they're quite a distraction, Laura and Charlie, Dick King Smith, the bloke who wrote Babe and all the pig stories. His grandson, Dick Charlie Hurst, was my best Bezzy at school. And he was like Siamese twins, they used to call us, the dinner ladies and shit. And so, yeah, sadistic, like, why are you traumatising this girl at 10 years old? You can't govern a 10-year-old just because she chats too much. Chatterbox, yeah? Can't govern a girl in her own class. You're going to put her in a totally different class. How fucked up is that? So yeah, you get all like, oh, I must be wrong, this must be a bad person. So you have this complex going on, which is very much arts created. Because apparently there was an arts council above every lesson. Now the arts have a huge amount of funding. They probably pumped it all into social media. They probably had to buy off every platform and say, well, there's a certain person that we don't want actually getting out. Don't want her getting out. She would tell them all about schooling and how we probably have these certain like techniques to make someone pretty fucked up. And so secondary school, pretty much introverted. Didn't really blossom at secondary school, was just introverted and want to get through it like it's a fucking prison, and didn't really put myself out there. Listen to other people getting bullied about being dykes or, oh yeah, I saw you kiss this, whatever. And I was like, fuck that, mortified, like fuck no, I've had shit from my teachers, I don't want shit from any peers or people around, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and then you go into the world. I'm not knocking schools, I think they're great for the majority of people. I obviously just created a person that has a unique perspective on life, probably because they were made to be the wise one that had to sit back and not really be the connection sort of lack, you know? So it's like you're an observer more than others. I don't want to be a watcher. I like talking to people. Once I strike up a conversation, happy days. But I'm very much like float around like the, you know. Yeah, so that's my take on it. And when you go to festivals, like a lot of people they know, they go to festivals, they meet a different kind of ilk. The ilk that I was always personally looking for, because I was on a spiritual path. Spiritual path being Celestine Prophecy's book, used to read at 14. When the people come into your life that you think are sort of like magic, you're like, bosh. And it feels like magic. And it's rare and few and far in between. And some of those people obviously trigger your path, because I was depressed when I was 30, fucking depressed. Shit relationships, whatever. And it's like you can't do your job because you can't anymore, because you're in the wrong flow. You're only doing it because you wanted to take people on holiday, or you wanted a partner because priority is love. So you're like, oh, I just want to look after my partner, I want to have a wage coming in, want normal things in life. So you give up what you give up, which was acting, but then at the same time, brain chemistry dysfunction a little bit. Don't do drugs, kids. Took a couple of pills, or half a pill. Do it sensibly if you're gonna do it, and drink lots of water and stuff. But it fucks with your brain chemistry, right? Like, and I was doing drama. I was at Young People's Theatre, Greenwich Young People's Theatre at 20. I think I dropped out because first rejections and stuff. You tell someone about your sexuality and things, and if someone rejects you, then you have like a bit of an identity crisis. You're like, oh, how can I pretend to be somebody else when I can't even be honest with everybody around me yet? So it's like I dropped out with about 2 weeks to go, which is like, I'm totally instinctual like that. I'll just be like, fuck this. There was a performance we had to put on in 2 weeks, and it was Commedia dell'arte. And if anybody knows about that, it's like being a clown, a French clown. Ironic. French person got me arrested last year, apparently, supposedly. Can't ask her because I'm too scared. Commedia dell'arte, which is being like, and I was like, nah. So I dropped it. But the point is, where did I digress. Anyway, 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisp in the lunch break. Brain chemistry. I just couldn't. I was just like, ugh. Just dysfunction. So I was like, I don't want to be here right now. I'm being looked at this point in time. But yeah, dance and doing that and stuff. And then I dropped it. I walked away from it. And got a job. Well, I was working as an usher, but I've always been around the arts and stuff, basically. The moral of the story is. And I think the aunts have an unhealthy interest in me. I mean, it's all right. It's like Britney Spears stuff. And I don't think basically society's that safe and sound in places. And I think some people are overly observed. And I got this impression that I was being observed last year, obviously. And it come to something in being arrested at Stansted Airport coming back from Venice from a mini break during COVID. Airbnb are running, Ryanair's fucking running, why not? I don't actually believe the news hype on this one. Gut instinct kicked in and I went bollocks. It is what it is. And it was also, there was, the reasons for my saying bollocks was because, obviously, I do educate myself, I think, more than other people do choose to sometimes. Like, you know, you look at social commentary and you don't believe social commentary in reading other books. You enrich yourself. There's a book called Infidel. Why does it keep doing that? Infidel, which is about Somalians and their absolute monumental hatred for the Jewish race back in the day, round about the same time you would have seen the world wars happening, funny enough. But there's German, French and English in Africa, the motherland of Congo. So therefore, with their banks and whether they were like almost like microcosmic little things going on, it's just a puppet. Hitler just be puppeted. You know, these people at the front, they're just not more than just the dumbest, I guess. Hence why I haven't got anybody watching this, because the smarties have all the answers. Now, you can choose to live on a harmonious equilibrium, a beautiful planet, fearless. You can choose that as an option for your soul, which is the best, organically beautiful thing to do for any soul. Yeah? Choose to be live in a state of no fear. Fear is an industrial tool of manipulation. That is all. Like when you have people that say, oh, this. It's like the stories that come out on films about racism that we see that are heartfelt or moving, and you go, look at the state of the way they used to get treated then, look at the state of that, look at the state of that. And it's showing you an evolution of, because you emote, you are empathetic and you care. And we, in the Western world, have been going through generations of getting more enriched with our humanity. Our humanity is fully peaking, right? Now, when you go over to places like Palestine, I don't know, but I heard that they all had satellites since fucking when. When I was at school doing A-level media, they taught us that a big Come on, green tea, I'll tell you. I'm going to go a cup of tea. What's fancy? Yes, mama. Green tea. This is bollocks, this TikTok. Not one viewer. You try to do a live talk and not one viewer. Oh. Supposedly. Tyranny of tech, I reckon. What's wrong? Green tea? Yeah. Huh? You're not watching what's name then? Gogglebox.
Yeah. It's good.
No.
Actually, it was quite funny.
Yeah, repeat!
Number 13.
Oh, God.
You want to put it on his TV? 13.
Yeah, so, the point is, I was taught at A-level media, that's what I mean, like, people just educate each other, and then you'd be like, you put things into a better perspective than just, you know, I mean, for what is the news other than perhaps gossip about something? Like, for example, like, why were people prepared to kill Jews in Hitler's? It's like, every time I turn and go like that, right, it does this sort of like, there's a special effect on, it probably is, probably make me look like an alien, innit? No one got any liberty over their own image these days. That was Ginger. Ginger, by the way. Ginger, that was. Because what I found is, I was preaching this on Facebook, if you eat a lot of ginger, I had like probably a chest infection well before COVID, and it was awful, fucking awful. Every time I do that, and it was awful, and ginger, eating a lot of it helps. A whole fuckload of it at the time because it's anti-inflammatory. Also, little known fact, I mean, this is why people don't like you, because obviously industrial is important to people's livelihood, right? Because like if you make bazooka that baruka, you don't want to hear that I went through like how many tubes when I went to a public pool and got a veruca. You don't want to hear that, you know, bazooka the boozooka doesn't friggin' work, do you? And you spend all that money, and then all you do is get a clove of garlic and then wrap it to your foot and sleep overnight, and then a couple of days later it's gone for good. A bit of garlic, I tell you. So that tells you obviously there are certain funguses and shit in your body that garlic annihilated in little time at all. And if you eat a lot of raw garlic, that's what I was really desperate, because I mean I was like on the border of like, it was clinging to me, this chest infection, for so long. Garlic, raw garlic, loads of ginger, and Bob's your Uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Happy days. So it's like these things, ancient stuff. Hello, user. Yeah, I've been talking on this for ages, and I don't know if you can look back at live videos, but a wellspring of wisdom and information coming out of this one's mouth for the last 20 minutes. Once you listen to it, you might feel a bit more enlightened about where you're at. I think sometimes it's nice to sort of break down where people on Maserat, or Maserat, sounds good that, doesn't it? Maserat. When people on Maserat, because they are at a different place than they were like 10 years ago. And they're at a different place than they were 20 years ago, because internet and information and this new understanding of what has kept society in this really strange fucking drama vibration. Drama. So much fucking drama. Like, you know, industrial created drama. Now, I look at the videos on here about Amelie Grande, for example, and what happened in Manchester, and people getting the bee tattoos. Because it's a part of a healing process, the bee tattoos. And I said, did you know, I saw a video on here that says like beekeepers have really good health, apparently. Something to do with the bzzz frequency on their body. Apparently, that gives them really good health and longevity. I was like, that's weird, isn't it? I don't know, I might have to do some research into that, check it out. But the point is, Amelie Grande, all fear vibration, wasn't it? It's like 22 people, this, that, the other. And I personally, I don't take news at face value. When 9/11 happened, I struggled to wrap my head around it, because in pubs, venues where alcohol is consumed, this bloke had a couple of burning towers on a tarot deck. And I was like, fuck, did he? Like, and that was before it happened. And I just sort of saw these signs everywhere. And especially the 11/11 sign. There's a whole spiritual class of people out there that saw that everywhere, just before it happened. I was like, literally, I'd be like, every time I looked at the clock, bosh, it's a subconscious thing. They say, people talk about angels, people talk a lot of things. Thanks. Shouldn't be. Thanks, Mum. Cheers. How's your back today?
Same.
I wrote this out yesterday.
Oh.
I wrote this out. I did in Camden for you yesterday. There was a bloke begging for.
Oh, gold.
There's a bloke begging for weed. He was saying, "Give me £1 for weed," and so I wrote that. I was only sitting there on it for like 5 seconds. £189 the bottle I want to get you.
You what?
I said it's £189 the bottle that I want to get you.
Don't bother.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's expensive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Those ones are 30 quid. Those ones, I don't know. Like this.
No, they're helping.
Are they?
Yeah, I've had 2 of them today. On drops. I'm going to have another one before I go to bed.
Okay, I'll show you what I'm chatting about.
Yeah. I'm watching that on TV. Or...
Okay, yeah, I'm not talking to I'm talking to these. I'm talking to the live video, Mum.
But I'm saying, yeah, that's helping me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had 2 today, I'm going to have another one. And I feel a lot better.
Yeah, that was £30, I think.
Yeah.
But it's.
Look, I'm not holding me back or anything. I'm only up doing this all the time. And I ain't.
So it helps then.
Yeah, it does help.
Do you find your moods different at all?
Huh?
Do you find it's supposed to be a mood stabiliser?
What's that mean?
It's supposed to stabilise people that are a bit mood swingy-ish. Supposed
Well,
to.
put it like this, I've taken 2 today, I'm going to take another one before I go to bed and I feel a lot better.
Right.
Okay?
Alright.
Where's your drink up there?
Well, that's the horse's mare. Hello, hello. Yeah, so that was that. But yeah, you can get 60mg bottles and they're £189. So I was just like, this guy's sitting there because I met him at a place called Grow Heathrow. And I was like, I recognise you. Every time I go to Camden, I would bump into someone and it seems to. I'm not sure if that was a good thing that happened, bumping into that person, because I sat on the floor. I literally wrote that out, and then a police van come along and they all jumped out and were like, ooh, ooh. I was like, hey. Don't want to get arrested for that. Just for seeing who could make money. Give me £1, he was saying, so he could buy weed. Anyway, easily distracted. Apparently that's ADHD, but I don't think I had it before TikTok, because now I can't even take in posts that are serious on Facebook. Before, I used to sit there and write essays on it. Exhausted the Facebook platform. Had concerns about how social media could potentially target individuals and their political, personal beliefs. Personally, if you don't know who I am, I make a lot of art, and I started 10 years ago at college was when it went boom. I'd always been, like I said, the artist streak all over bed, but for like up 21 to sort of like 30, I didn't do anything other than, I didn't really do anything. Yeah, I was just working, because I'm brought up as a working class person, and you're sort of taught that like film industry is too small a pool, so you probably don't have much chance. So it's like at 21 you get a job, sign on, get a job, sign on, get a job, sign on. It's very like that. And that's the majority of people in this borough. I don't, probably up and down the land. That's if Jeremy Kyle's anything to go by, right? You get off your arse, you lazy cat. Go sign on. Do this. So it's always like, don't get a minute. It's relentless. So I say that there are a lot of people that do rebel against that. There are a lot of people that are movers and shakers and then go uptown and rave and do shit and sort of say, you know, freedom. But freedom is more than a word. That's a book that kept getting landed in my lap. Now, whether that was by some sort of divine will or somebody, it come across my path. And I was like, oh, that's important. That information in there is there. That there is important. And there's some things you can't dispute. Like, you can't dispute that freedom is more than a word. It's really important information for people to have at their disposal. Now, I'm like, with me, I don't mean to always be rebellious on every front when it comes to stupid things like paying a bill, but sometimes it is sort of like a full-on breakdown that happens when there's too much pressure applied, right? It's like, I literally just couldn't process certain things at that point. And so it was like ostrich, head in the sand, forget about it. Forget about it. I don't wanna. It was like literally a state of like no mind, like I just don't wanna. And then it's like freedom is more than a word, and you're thinking, well, corporate law, this law, that law, what's going on? And then you start to see things like your whole brain does open up here. When you're outside a court and they've got the lion and they've got the unicorn, which has the protruding pituitary, you know, it's enslavement to their lion. They're not the only fucking lions on the planet. It's that. And some of the TikTok art I make had featured a lion and a unicorn because it's your majesty to own, and the only limitations you put are on yourself. And all these sort of new philosophies I'm hearing and thinking, I wish I heard that a lot younger. And all these people that are coming into my community just now, and I wish I heard them a lot younger, because I very much felt like I was just charging ahead, like, oh, and one day they're gonna, like, there's a song in that book that goes, the world is catching up with you, you're running away to chase your dreams. And that's what I was doing. I was in some sort of mode of flight, and it's hard work being me because it's erratic, and it's like erratic, and I want it to be like and with intent, but it just comes when it comes, and sometimes it's overwhelmed, and sometimes it's just like crippled. Sometimes it's a complex that I swear dates back to fucking 3 years old. So it's like, what is the nature of a human being? Sometimes it can be extra monumentally messy. And I can write songs, and relationship breakdowns are the fucking worst to some people. They are just the worst. Like, it's just not just abandonment issues, it's just gobsmacked that people can be that cold, really. You're like, what did I fucking do? I run off at the mouth, with every right to run off at the mouth. In that particular case, one particular case, it's like, oh, you're going to waste 2 years friendship, 2 years us living together pretty much argument free for nothing. For nothing. For me just going, who's that at the door? Is it and doing a rap, which you push the button and just run away and done the usual betrayal, backstabbing. So actually your whole drum and bass circle is lost. With all the producers and all the legwork you made, because you extended a hand to this person to improve her life, and she just run away with it all by sullying your name with promotional artwork on her face. Promotional artwork. You know, it's hard life. People can be, and then people say you have to go through all these struggles in order to appreciate where you've gone and how far you've come and how shit it's been, because then you will poof. Apparently it's like a rites of passage that the universe does all over your ass. I don't know if that's true, but most people will claim that before they get to a certain age, they had to learn a lot of things. And strangely enough, I met a 27-year-old that taught me a word called boundaries. Now, you can hear that all day long in a therapy session. You can hear that all day here. Not that I've had therapy or anything, but you can hear that in these chunks or people talking, or on TV shows, or on a soap opera, or anywhere else. But until you meet somebody that exhibits boundaries all over your ass, and boundaries, and then it'd be like, I should take a leaf out of her book. Because if I don't exhibit my boundaries, I'm going to be left in these energetics that do not make me so happy. You know, it's all right to have mates and have things like this, and I found like being me makes people the most presumptuous in the male department. Like, there's these forces always acting upon my person, and yes, it is the universe talking. So you've got choices in life. You're gonna have kids, you're gonna do this, you're gonna that. always feeling the pressure 100% from all directions of the universe, and it's like, to a certain degree, does that mean that it's good or is it bad? And people say, let's go on to the mental health one as well. This is going to be the longest chat ever because I'm in the mood to talk and I don't talk enough. I don't get paid to talk either. It's like mental health. People talk about depression all the time and talk about how they can't be themselves. You can't be themselves, blah, 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 blah. You can be yourself. But I don't want to be a bad person. I don't want to be what did someone say that I met at Stonehenge? Don't be a martyr. Don't be a martyr. But do you know what? I understand I have to be in certain cases because when I was going out, alcohol culture, clique culture, gangs around, venues, gang figureheads, bad man. Certain people around certain places could totally manipulate your exterior world and you wouldn't have a leg to stand on if things were to transpire. A lot of bad stuff happened and transpired, so therefore I didn't let's be honest, there's a song out that says there's this I put on Channel 6, it goes, I don't much like people, and it was getting really dark, like that was Radio 6 I think, BBC. I don't like much people, don't like people. And those forces that were acting, or whatever artist made that song, I got to that point because I felt like people were just trying to manipulate everything about it. So it's just like, well, then you have to become the recluse. You have to be you have to be Strickland Banks. And they call me the recluse. You have to, because that's, But then, seeing a TikTok, there was a thing, someone said, only you can keep you safe. And sometimes in society, when it's becoming quite subservient, quite depraved on the alcohol front, some demographics, let's not lie. Come on, man. We've seen Jeremy Carl, we've seen some households, we know some things. All that dirty laundry and stuff. Fucking hell. And then it's like, and then people, like the spoons as well, Weatherspoons. Like, when you go down to a Weatherspoons, how many people, if your life is drink culture, or you go around to a lot of pubs, you're like, fucking hell. And we go out and clap the NHS. I'm not sure I should. That my mate looked she looked fucking well. Now you tell me what? She what? She what? She what? I'm not even going to say the word, And then it's like, then 1 minute they're, the next minute they're not. And you're like, nah. Is it right? There was something shady going on. It's like people got their blinkers on. People don't want to hear horrible stuff. They never want to hear horrible stuff. They want to believe that their healthcare system is all in the hands of something trustworthy. Now, when my mate said there were military around the hospital and she can't see her own family, I'm saying, what is it, a fucking hospital or a prison? If they're military around hospitals, I'm inclined to think like an X-Files, personally, because if you live in London, you see the XR rebellionists. You see them all fearful. We got a decade to turn it around. Greta, You see everything. You hear people. It's so diverse, and you hear everything. You're privy to what fucking Boris Johnson's been hearing that ain't been televised, because you're getting emails saying, "Come and listen to Boris." Like, go and talk to Boris. I'm like, no, thanks. I don't like politics, mate. Full stop. No, done. Job done. You're just a puppet, and it's never going to change that circular negativity, that karmatic negativity, that drama, that industrial front is never going to shut the fuck up. It's never going to shut the fuck up. It's just farm. We are the farm to them, but we are the farm. We can do better than that. We can do better than that. They take your taxes. They don't ask you for them. Classic TikTok quote from another user. If we stopped all paying our taxes en masse, then there wouldn't be anyone to collect our taxes. Strictly speaking. I like that shit. I like some of the wit that should come with it, because the younger generations coming through are just totally like no-brainers about how much it needs to change. They're like, "Buh." You know, and then you've got the sort of older generations going, we're taking it all well seriously up London. But then the things will naturally change anyway, because people, they're getting more information thanks to go back round to the internet. Alternative thinking, health, care. Which brings me around to the biggest part, which I always go into, no matter any time I'm talking about anything, I have to go on to the massive need just to make a social worker brand franchise on wheels. Think about it. Taking back the power to the people. Yeah. If it's making 100% media content, yeah. Shining a light on injustice as it happens, yeah. Well, then where's the room for corrupting that? If it's a platform that incorporates in everything, all the people. Imagine this. It's just a fleet. Imagine like sky vans you see around, because I used to work as one of them. So all this work history just kept going through my brain every time I saw an injustice publicly. I'll be like, we can do that. We can fix that. We can fix that. Easy. And it's like, we only put, like, there's a lot of positive talk on here about limitations, and we do limit ourselves to what has always been societal prison in the tax-paying system. There are developers, innovators, designers, creatives. I'm one of them. I just want to make that happen. If there's people and that you come to them, there's a homeless person, for example, what do? There's a big issue. There's this magazine in London. Don't know where you're watching from. There's a magazine called The Big Issue. And vendors sell it all over the place. And they get money for it. And it's their trade if they're homeless or have been affected by homelessness. And they make a wage selling it to people. It's got some good stuff on it. I went to India off the back of that magazine when I was 20. To do a leprosy bike ride. Best thing I ever did. It was like being Princess Diana, already being followed around by kids everywhere because you're in a jungle and they're all going, hey, can I get your autograph? You're like, what? You've never seen a white person. Mad it was. So big issue. Yeah. There's a thing in it called spare room scheme. Hostels and hotels. Sorted. Your practical wheels with a wet room in the back so you can, bosh, give them a clean bill of health, take them to these places. There's people that get involved over Christmas in hotels, hostels as well, but a spare room thing. And also the kindness offensive went over to America recently to talk about using communal buildings and their uses when they turn them into residential, well, basically they turn them into community buildings, these buildings that are on the market just for a period of time or whatever. They get used all over the towns and cities. It's like, well, put a member of staff in it and bosh, it's a 999 shelter in the winter. Nobody's got freezed to death on the streets anymore. Bosh. It's a fixed abode for the people to then, you have a passport. You could offer NVQs to the global farming market. Anybody doing farming, hemp farming, woofing, fruit picking, charity schemes. Numbers of people you could just lift up and chuck them in a placement and let them get below minimum income wage but be looked after and get a little NVQ out of it. Like little things like that. As a global community, you don't need a government above that. It's rising above it all, really, and taking it back into your own hands. A firm like that, that's the cure. It was always for homelessness. And I'll put the link to the video that I did a decade ago. 14 quid it made. But since then, I've developed it all in my head. It's like all the handheld tech, washer, this call centre. If you're a health worker and you don't like working for the NHS or the current industrial, but you've got your nursing degree, or you've got this degree, or you've got this degree, you can work independently, pooling more talent in the healthcare world. Particular subjects, if they're not well, if you've got a database and you've got a stream of information coming through, engineers, social engineers is what they would be, because they'd be like, we got this case, like for example, my cousin, somebody don't want to talk about negative things, but somebody that suffered from a particular condition, 3 times, 3 therapies, it comes back. NHS white pans, don't really go that extra mile. This person lived on a diet of tomato soup and custard. Do I have to say any more than that? It's like they've already sort of cured cancer once. They've said that it cannot survive in an alkaline system. When like your pH is balanced, it doesn't grow because you starve that particular thing. But if someone is just carrying on in their same habits and routines, so you need more funding and you need more love. The NHS was not something I was ever going to step outside my fucking front door and do that for. And it's like people go, oh, she'd turn to it if she was in trouble. You get like people that go, oh, you so me. But that's just a lack of vision. That's short-sightedness. It's like live and let live. Okay, it's all right if it suits you. That's all right. But it's the lowest end. And even you might find that you turn to somebody else for a bit more specific or tailored advice if there were experts available to you. Because in this country, if your kid's got cerebral palsy, they're not giving you the best therapy, and you got to go begging. You got to go and do a GoFundMe, and you got to ask for this and ask for that. It's like, as a community, internet-wise, TikTok is a sort of indication of the power of community, or getting it all together in the name of something. If imagine the world en masse being that good and turning to each other on this when you need it. And there being a source, a limitless source, fund of money. Abundance. It's not about you personally, like everybody's sort of going doing the abundance things. I want that. I want to live on a boat. I want to live on a boat. That's it. It's not a big aspiration, but a nice boat that can actually just go everywhere in. And then you can see the world. Because I think, this is what we're here for, the world. And when a government is doing what it's doing to people and closing my world off and arresting me at airports, I get very upset, really. I get very upset. It's like, who the fuck do they think they're controlling, manipulating people with fear? Well, you should all see the red flags with that, shouldn't you? It's like we all hear about bloody relationship advice. Red flag. All divide and conquer, all fighting amongst each other, looking for something to attack. Don't attack anything individually anymore. There is one monster that's been basically overlording your whole life. Been filling kids' heads with mercury, getting ever more desensitized, to the point that maybe being violated is half of what being gay is, or a woman feeling like introverted or don't want to go there, or feeling like that, or what are the complexes that make up a human being? And really, in a society where you are not given choices, then it's all fucked, isn't it? Like when you go to Wales, there's people, they have feral kids, they self-teach, they home teach, they do their thing. And again, apps, transformative things, aren't they? Have parental meetups, go to the British Museum, go out on days out, teach, have curriculums between yourselves. But what is it all about, really? We shouldn't be wage slaved. Have home, I just think it's time to move away from a whole paradigm, basically. I was never happy in it. I was never happy. I always thought that half of it is society. I don't want to be a mum taking a kid to primary school, wondering how my kid's getting on. Do you know what I mean? It's like, do people test, for what you think you know about our education system and your community? There is an esoteric society behind that community that does know how to give treatments to certain individuals. Your council housing, is it safe? Is it really? I don't know sometimes. So I do feel like this link in the community, it's on wheels, it's out there, it's somebody to turn to. Obviously you can get hold of it via this. But if you unleash the care industry into a different vein, you can also get this shit. because I watched the Midnight Gospel, episode 6, I think it was, and the woman was talking about how since the plague, which was historical, historical thing, it's history if you want it to be. I'm a big believer in mind over matter, and understanding cycles is to break cycles, capiche? Like, so that was a reason to take away this one particular liberty of stealing people's dead, because people used to bury their own. They call up when they want to or whatever, but they said that it would become a thing that was just steal the dead. But if you had a healthcare industry that, say, you wanted to reach out to, and you wanted a home wake like you have in Ireland, and you can just treat the body at home and keep it there for a week to get used to the fact that you've lost it, like in India, and you'll say you're taking it backwards. No, the Western world is quite monstrous. It's become quite crushing, monstrous. And there are some people that are just like in shock when they get here because it's just industrialised. The cooperative, markets, money, crap, ugly, inorganic, doesn't feel right somehow, feels a bit off key, feels a bit so sick. I think these people are a bit like inhuman. They're all a bit desensitised, aren't they? Oh, well, they do. Oh, is that okay? All right, that's just what we do now. But that, I think, is like taking the fun factor too far, because not everybody is the same. Different horses for courses. Horses for courses. To make it then corporate law, or to then sort of persecute people, is disgusting. And that's where that freedom is more than a word come in. Free man on the land stuff. Now, we are educated people. We are civilized. We are reasonable. We should be. But this is what people want to hear about in politics. They don't want to hear about, like, what's presented up there. They want to keep things the same when it's not working for everyone. So to diversify the playing field is the way forward. Like, that's the way forward. There ain't no two ways about it. Just what Captain Fantastic for the second time. Do you know? It's like that. Prime example. Diversify the field. Bosh. Then it's like, have a think about this. Burials at sea. That's a real thing you can do. Not very popular. You don't hear about it, do you? But that's a thing people can do. The reason I'm aware of it is because my dad said ideally that would be nice, wouldn't it? But it's not very common because people don't want to rent out a boat and provide that service. It's something people just haven't done. I propose with that brain. you can do more. Public land, big pieces of public land. What happened in Captain Fantastic? Yeah, very real possibilities. Really, shouldn't they be? There's something we feel, and it resonates with people when I say it, because it's something that naturally comes to some of us little old wise ones. So yeah, that was part of it. Revolutionising the whole society. It's a new framework. It's a beautiful new framework for people to work with. And as an ex-security guard myself, in charge of a 14-man team, I really don't like authority abuse. I've been on the receiving end of it. Never was that authoritative. Always had a way of just standing there like that and calming people down. Is it worth it, mate? It's not worth going anywhere, is it? Just fucking... Doesn't matter if they're coked up to the max or whether they're drunk or whatever. Shut up. So this is what I don't like. And I don't like... If you don't like being in a cell, you don't like being in a cell. I personally hate it. I personally, when I got back from Venice, was drunk. And I think that alcohol society, and I'm not knocking that part of society, maybe it's the only thing that my mum got right, being a drinker. Maybe it can work. Because, like, I was drunk in that cell until I started to sober up, and then I felt like I wanted to smash my head off the wall. You know, you don't want to be in a cell. It's claustrophobic, especially when they say you've got zero human rights, because I don't know why I'm in it. You're saying what? You're saying what now? And that's your evidence of what? Yeah, I felt like I was being spied on just before it, so I was probably right, because it was a Royal Mail posted letter. Infiltrators filming Borough Greenwich. Film world all around it. film, arts are in charge. Arts Council, Ronald Reagan, people blow whistles all the time on what's going on. The more whistles get blown, the more the picture is understood. Is it easy for the film world and all its investors and money to delay flights? With Interpol information. This world very much is a grid, and it's all connected. And I said, like, Interpol knows when every one of its citizens is going to a different country for a spiritual awakening, or to go to Tibet or anywhere like this, and you'd be surprised how many people get spiked abroad, funny enough, with all the drugs and stuff. So it's like, oh, okay. Right. Okay, right. Because I understand doing that sort of thing to a person could perhaps change their outlook and philosophies. Corrupt FM. Apparently that film's coming out soon. I work as an SA supporting artist in my spare time for the last decade. That's mind-blowing enough in itself, and it does give you some sort of next level intuition or some shit. I don't know. I've had a lot of face-offs with lots of different types of attitudes and people in a uniform and stuff. And I was like, well, is it plausible that industrial interlinks because the Metropolitan Police are always on the set? I'm like, okay, met on set. This is it. How about set in a Bexley prison cell? How about that? How about them apples? Which then starts you making thinking, like, is all things fear vibrations? Or people's image, self-image, self-care? When I went to Venice, I stayed in 3 different hostels. One on Quideca, yeah, and it felt like home. Really felt like home, because when you look across the river from where I live, you can see Canary Wharf, big tower, right? Big tower. And there are architects behind it. You know, because you look across, when you go to Quideca, I just like felt like I got home or something. It was weird. And it's beautiful. And it's fucking Venice is a beautiful place, and it's a place that you should do with a lover. So I stayed there, and then I went across there and stayed in Academia, in a really nice place. And it got me all frazzled out as well, because the Airbnb, there was a bloke staying there. The first thing he says to me, he can't even speak English, but he puts it on the Google Translator, and he says, I'm a poet, I'm an ex-soldier poet. I'm a poet, I used to be a soldier, and now I'm a poet. I'm like, First thing out of the dude's mouth. I was like, okay. They tailored this experience to me a bit. Well, putting me in a room with this bloke. What's it all about? And then an interesting conversation outside Quideca, out of a museum. They were doing the old rapido test things on your head to see if you had a temperature, let you in. But I didn't have that much money, so I didn't bother. But I should have. But I live in Greenwich. It's not that I'm ignorant to art and stuff, it's just it's overloaded with information. And sometimes you've sort of seen and heard it all on some levels, enriched yourself to the max, don't really want to do any more, I just want to converse and chat to people. And then I went to this other one, off of the island, what was it called, and considering the place was empty, they wanted to put me in a room with these 2 blokes that were cutting their toenails as I walked in there. I was sweating my bollocks off. I was like really hot, frustrated. I was like, any chance of a different room? Like, they put me on one of my own, and then put 2 people right up. 2 people were right behind me, like what's the point of that? All them beds in there, and you want to sleep, you know what I mean? I'm not used to doing hostels. That was a first on me. It was a first. I was just going for it during COVID, because my truth is my truth. And everybody's truth is their own. You own your own truth, but it's all about bubble time. Bubble time. And there was a picture of a strange bloke from England that most people might not know all across the world, called Jimmy Savile. And I was like, is it? That's strange. Why do you glorify someone like that on the wall? A bit strange, isn't it? Because ultimately, it's like an inside joke, because he was dead and everybody accused him of being something. Man can't say, oh, I'm not, can he? Because he's dead. Did people get bought off? Did a lot of people get a lot of money for that? Who knows? Your truths are your truths. Your truths are your truths. And when I got back, this 27-year-old, she told me she had been in the mental health system. And she told me she had an outrageous coke habit once upon a time. And I've done a bit of research into that. Like, there's a boxer that said that he thought people were out to get him all the time and thought this. And this girl, anyway, I met her at a festival and I gave her a lift home. And inadvertently it seen me leaving in my van because a police car was coming through traffic and I had to mirror signal and manoeuvre. And when I did that, something touched me. And I says to her, did we touch something? Jump out and there's this banged up Toyota with multiple core claims awaiting on it. But time moves fast, you know, even when all this drama's going on, and at the worst of it you feel like shit. But then on The Simpsons, Bart Simpson says, finally I can buy a used Toyota. I'm like, things resonate on a cartoon that make you feel better. And you feel like maybe that was just a road prank. Maybe that was a prank. Because I don't know this girl and she's just taken a picture of the number plate and I trust her obviously because we got a bit close physical and stuff and it was all good. Honey traps, what are they? What are they? At a festival, esoteric society stuff. Is this platform really free? So anyway, I couldn't report that controlled collision if it was on their part or whatever the fuck was going on because she ghosted me and then started slamming the door. I was like, not before managing to get my bank details and spending on my card four times. And then I was getting arrested for basically sending her compassionate letters actually asking if she was alright because she'd lost her dad and I thought she was just acting like a bad person because she was upset. You know, when you just get angry with the world and just fuck over people, like slamming the door in the face. I even put the letter through saying I really need that fucking details. And yeah, I got arrested to protect her. And they showed me a love letter as proof. Yeah, it was weird. And the person, when I gave her a lift back from this festival, there was a person in the garden called One Jar. And he's a little sort of musician that does one jar, which means one love kind of thing. Or is he just jarring? But he was sitting in the garden. And he has kind of got a good look about him. Kind of look like a warlock, I said, well, and then I went shopping for them, the mother and the mother of this woman, fully grown woman, and she was sitting there in the corner, and she did a little drawing, and it was with them like prison style trousers with stripes on, black and white stripes, and behind bars, and I thought to myself, is that negative manifesting art which would later see me in a prison cell for 12 hours? Esoteric society. I'm still at a loss because when you get ghosted, you just don't know what's going on. You think, well, I'm not that. I thought I was quite nice. I thought I was nice to her. Remembered her birthday. Just wanted to, I was straight in there. Really overzealous. Really overzealous. Really laid it all out on the table because I liked her that much. Sometimes when you meet someone, they can have a profound, they can just have a vibe about them that you just instantly go nuts for. I really like. And I was like, I like this one. I think this is the first time I've actually felt any of this. And before, I don't even know what was what. Because that's how you're supposed to feel. This is what it feels like. It's like a fresh start. So it's like, I was putting all my eggs in that basket because it was just for me. But obviously not for that person. Because that person wouldn't even send me an email before calling uniforms to abuse myself. Wouldn't even send a fucking email. Even though her brother was on my social media for a long time. And her mother was easy. Get one of them to send a fucking email. Don't arrest someone. Don't call the police on someone. And then the policeman was saying, you were shouting outside the house. I was like, not at any point did I do that. That I attribute to the sort of residuals from paranoia and cocaine. So, you know, that's what I see society like these days. One big fucking drama. People ain't got their shit together, and they always want a drama or something. They want some shit. That was a honey trap. That must have been a honey trap. What was that? So anyway, 12 hours in a cell to protect a vulnerable adult. Who's a vulnerable adult? Yeah, who's a vulnerable adult? Who's a vulnerable adult? I'm not, but I put all my stuff on social media. The implications of what I want to do are quite profound. I think it's gotten a bit of interest from certain parties that probably sees me needing a little bit of protection, like a Britney Spears. I say. So yeah, that happened. I'm talking about that again because I want to move forward, and I'd like to get a car. I'd like to get a van. Yeah, anyway, because this is why I got on this subject. Talking about the law, right? So anyway, I couldn't report something. So anyway, whole year goes by. And then it's like I get a letter saying county court threat of £3,000 for a Toyota. A Toyota, £3,000. Same reg as my Mercedes van with a bed in the back and a sound system. How much did I get for How much did I get from We Buy Any Philip Schofield rip-off van? £400 deal for me. I said, come on, bump it up by 100. Fair enough, right? Might have done me a favour. I always look on the bright side of life because all the fucking central lock-in had failed. And yeah, it was just like, it was a bit of a headache. It was getting headache. Getting in and out of it was a headache. It was closing the doors was a headache, or worrying about it. So it was a bit like that. And let's face it, diesel vans, even though the police have all got them, I think they had campaign out to get fucking things off the road. Everybody wants to go and get an electric stuff, and they give them shit as well. Anyway, the police said no further action, and there was no damage on this thing, and it had multiple claims waiting on it. So they wanted to take me to court for £3,000, and I thought that was just systematic bullying, basically. And I just, head in sand, ignored that shit. Because it was a controlled collision. Why I didn't report it? Because it says fill out an accident form. And if it's not an accident, then it's not a form. And that's why I stick to my guns on it. Because if you think there's something funny, if someone's slamming the door in your face and acting crazy and nothing makes any sense, imagine that. That particular individual, I'm not somebody that has muses or fixates on somebody, has a muse. That was my first, even though I've had lots of relationships, that person unleashed that in myself. That's why I found it to be quite precious. Or a partner, or somebody that was profoundly something on some level. And if that is the way that, because I even penned something called soulmate off the back of it, in the fact that we had all that in common, writing, singing, music. I was like, well, that's a first. And to feel all these feelings, of course, why are you going to give up on that? Just between you and me, I sent the fucker a birthday card this year, not too long ago. Just because. Like, NHS sends you shit through your post box. Corporations send you shit through your post boxes. This sends you corporations. All this shit comes through your post box that you don't really want sometimes. And it's like, I'm going to fucking send a fucking letter because I feel like I fell in love. Like all that bells and whistle fucking magic. And you're going to tell me that there's a law against that? And you're going to put vulnerable child or adult on it? So I have to take that to a bail station 3 months later? How conniving and manipulative are the police force at planting little seeds of wonder in people's heads in different parts of this fucking town? You seeing some sort of picture here? Don't wait till I'm dead. Fucking say anything you want. Say anything, I tell ya. Do you know what I mean? Come on. So yeah, that was a horrible thing that happened. But she was originated from France also. Like, my mum's side of the family originates from France. And so, I was just, massive deja vu as well. When someone says, if you feel that, then that's the one, right? Anyway, that was 2 years ago. Was it 3 now? 3 years? Yeah, but things like that don't leave you alone, because they, you think, well, I'm not harassing this person. I'm not asking for anything in particular. I just knew that person was suffering. I think that person's got some sort of round end of stick. That person watches too much fucking EastEnders. I'm not no fucking Leo in a ceiling. Although I did pull up her Google Maps and had a look at her house because I forgot what house it was. How mad's that? It was a bit of a hedonistic time, and so I think I actually put the wrong address on shit. That's how much of a threat I am. Don't even fucking know the right address. I think I do. And hope that the neighbours give it to her. That's why I put a picture on the birthday card. Oh yeah, that was the one. Anyway, it's like that. So that's a long enough rant for me. I like to talk things out because it's like letting it all go. Loving the new therapy. There's a thing I cannot recommend enough called Law of Attraction Space app. I'm doing all of them. I don't know if I like the Hononopopo one so much. That was the only one I don't like that. But I know it's a good philosophy, but I was just like, yeah. And also there's another one about codependency, and that's where I feel like the world's gone a bit like, it's not so, a lot of people, a lot of younger people, I think they've had a lot of these new age philosophies coming through for a while. And I'm not sure if I always agree with them, because like, you know, when it's like, I think my family are a bit devalidating enough in themselves, like older generation. Like, as a girl, younger, hard to get out the fucking door just to go and forge your life or go out to a bar. So it's like a sort of like level of like guilt, burnout, fear, shit, crap, awful. Like, you know what I mean? It's marginalising and it's pretty sort of like devalidating, yeah. So like women get that. I think some women, depending on how much backbone they got, they get sort of marginalised by their own family, or maybe their parents even like that. They like you, like close, you know, especially old people. I think they just want to take liberties if you're a soft touch. You know, it's like, oh, this one's handy to have around. It's one of those first aid. Do you know what I mean? It is like that, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? That's just like, and so it's like, and if you are a soft touch and you do love your family, just because they provide for you, care for you, put clothes on your back and gave you holidays and had a nice time with them, you feel obligated, innit? So it's like that. So is that codependency or not? Because the younger generation have got the app and they're learning shit like boundaries. And if somebody needy or wanting or whatever, I met her after just losing an aunt and a nan, so I was a fucking mess, yeah. I cried a lot. I was fucking, yeah. And I can understand why that wouldn't be appealing. But there you go. Things like that. When there is sometimes in life a time when you just need somebody. You blatantly need them. You want out of your own dynamic at home. You want a friend. You feel like you fell in love. You got all the bells and whistles. You want to try more than anything. You want to do it all. You want to try your very best. She said she wants a sugar mama. She said she wants a sugar mama. Even that I took to heart. I'm like, yeah, well, I want to get rich then. If you want a sugar mama, I'll be a sugar mama. Everybody deserves the best in life. But anyway, letting that one go, because I'm sure there's better ones out there in the world. Better people that will treat you nicely. She was a bit mean. Some places, I've got a lot of patience, see, and I think that's probably a massive virtue of mine. And if someone has got issues, then I'm happy to be that person's person. Do you know what I mean? I'm happy to take on the responsibility of other people's mental health or shit. Like, why is your reason for being in the world? Who is your reason for being in the world? Do you know what I mean? And that's what true love feels like. And I was on a train yesterday coming back from Soho, and someone was like, come on then. I was like, what the fuck is that? Is that a proposition? Are you actually trying to say take me back to your fucking house? Oh yeah, I fuck people I meet on a train. No, sorry, I might have done a few strange things in my past. No, I didn't ever do that. I might have hooked up with a... Yeah, you're allowed to say that. In Germany, people have one-night stands. Everybody's had a one-night stand in England. Surely. It's like one of those things you have to tick off a bucket list. But it doesn't mean that you are that thing. That's what I mean. People, I never gossip about anybody. Really. Maybe like my own fam. But I never talk about anyone, really. I try not to. And if I've got something, I try not to. Yeah, it's just energetic that I literally self-mastered. Like, I don't want that. I don't like people talking about me, so I don't want to talk about them. So it's just like talking about someone perpetuates certain things, and I feel like people are friggin' fluid. They are fluid, just like some people's sexuality is fluid. Some people this, some people that. And I think sometimes the hardest thing to be is honest with yourself. I'm not going to go down controversial roads now, but I could self-mastery, like, I mean, skanking. Oh yeah, 'cause that's funny. Yeah, that's funny, that, isn't it? It's like a snuff tape. You, has your TikTok turned into snuff? Who's that watching? God, that someone with a nice name there reminds me of something. Beg on your fucking knees. Get on your fucking knees, please. Bird's Nest Arena. Bird's Nest. Deptford. The normalisation of it in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Once upon a time, I think they used to have spears outside Tower Bridge. Ooga booga booga. There you go. That's enough for one night. See you later. You won't find any better. Class A. 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 And there isn't another one with a tattoo on their ankle in the world like mine. Half a heart and an A with a majestic sunrise above a abstract Eiffel Tower. Goddess isn't the one.